Okay, good evening, good morning with everyone, whoever is joining us, wherever you're joining us. I'm Meir Weinstein, and I'm joined with Baruch ben Yoseph, who is on the Temple Mount on Har Bayit. We're going to be discussing Shavuot. We're getting ready for Shavuot. That's going to be tonight. And Baruch, welcome today. How are you?
Okay, great. We're going up. We're ascending right now the Temple Mount. You can hear the singing behind us as we ascend the Temple Mount. Everybody's singing, and what's nice is when there's more people going to the Temple Mount than there are at the Kotel.
Right.
But,
wow.
So now we'll talk about Shavuot. We'll talk about the Parshah, the portion. So, plus it's related to, you know all about it as a Levite. That's your portion.
Yes.
You got to tell us what it means to be a Levite.
It's an incredible honor. It's all about the temple. It's all about the base of Mikdash, the service to be performed there, and especially now in our times, in our days, with this war going on that has been imposed on us by Hamas. They call it the Al-Aqsa flood. They're focused on throwing the Jews out of Israel and getting rid of our dreams and aspirations, and that's never going to happen. Our dreams and aspirations are first with the birth of the state of Israel came into being, and then the gathering of the exiles happening in our time, something we never, our parents' generation, never thought would be. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. The land of Israel is blooming. It's beautiful. And the message is there. Whether Jews really accept the challenge now, that what we have to do is focus on Har Bayit, on the base of Mikdash, on the service that should be performed there according to the Torah. And we have to build the temple, and we have to get rid of the enemies of Israel that desecrate that holy.
Right there, they're there.
Right. From Jordan. Oh, my God. So Baruch, you're up on Har Bayit, the holiest place for the Jewish people. On Erev Shavuos. Tell us what you experience right now. I mean, these are historic times. These are unprecedented times with the war going on right now, with the so-called unity government and Benny Gantz getting some kind of spell of insanity. That who leaves a unity government, a war cabinet in the middle of a war? But he did. And even today, the most recent polls that came out show that he's going down seriously in the polls. It didn't help him. It didn't boost him. Why would he even do it? But these are crazy times that are going on right now.
I think the answer is that we're not sure who he's working for. A lot of people say he's working for the Americans, and he's really just an agent of the Americans, and that's why he waited for Blinken to come here.
Yeah,
right? He did it it coordinated exactly when Blinken came here. I mean, obviously the Biden government wants to knock Netanyahu out, along with Ben Gvir and Smotrich and the rest of the government, and so they obviously approved of him going in at the time, and of course they approved or ordered him to leave now, and I think that's one of the major problems. I mean, it's not really the subject of today's holiday or anything, but really I think there's a big question mark about the loyalty of a lot of people in this country who have very important positions.
Mhm.
And what I mean is that, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people being paid off by the Americans, whether it's by the CIA or directly by the government or whoever, and maybe also the Russians. I mean, who knows? A guy like Lieberman, who knows who he's working for, and all these.
Right.
I that was, one of the great things that I remember. I'll never forget from studying Jabotinsky was that he had this concept of what we call hadness. You can
Right.
only have one. You can't be a socialist and a Zionist. You can't be a communist and a Zionist. You can't be. You got to be just a pure Zionist. You have to
Mhm.
be a pure Jew. You can't. The second you have allegiances to other philosophies, ideas, then you can never be trusted. And
Mhm.
that's why he was always against all of these, Zionists that had a hyphen attached to
Right.
their Zionism.
Right.
And that's why I said, I really you don't know. I mean, all these Oslo Accords and everything that's happened. You have to say to yourself, what's going on? Why would they make these ridiculous agreements? And who knows who was paid off by whom and what? It's really terrible.
Right.
That I always tell the story about Rabbi Kahana, and when he got elected, they sent him David Levy. David Levy just passed away last week.
Yep.
He was
Yep. Yep.
high level minister in the Likud government of Yitzhak Shamir. I believe he was the foreign minister, if I'm not mistaken. In any event,
I think so.
yeah, and he came to Rabbi Kahana and told him, listen, you can get this and you can get that, and this is how you get a budget, and this is how you get. And after an hour of explaining to him all the ins and outs, Rabbi Kahana, so he says to Rabbi Kahana, so what do you want? He says, I don't want anything. I just want one thing. That's it's the total allegiance to the land of Israel, total loyalty to the land of Israel, nothing else. And he just got up and walked out because he realized that here's a guy who can't be bought off.
Mhm.
And that's what we need. The real true Jews who don't bow down to the mighty dollar.
Right.
And
Right.
hopefully we'll be finished with all these people who are, in the end, if you have a loyalty to some other country or agency or whatever, you're a traitor. I mean, that's specifically, they don't like to use that word in this country. Use the term
Right.
traitor in this country, they go crazy. They go crazy. But I mean, I say that term should be used. It should be used freely. I mean, people that are not to loyal to the land of Israel, not loyal to the people of Israel, not loyal to the Torah of Israel. As far as I'm concerned, they're traitors.
Mhm.
And there is a law in the books. There is in the criminal codex. There is a crime of treason, but they never use it in this country.
Right.
So anyhow, that's where we stand. So the fact that he left the government doesn't surprise me because again, I don't know who he's. They say he gets his orders from America, and it's good for the Jews because anyhow, those guys were, everything by them was they were obviously holding back the. I mean, the soldiers are constantly complaining that they're being held back instead of just completing the mission and
Mhm.
finishing off the enemy in Gaza. They're being held back. So maybe now that those guys are not in there anymore, um, the army can move forward and finish the job. We'll see. I don't trust Netanyahu. I don't trust Gallant. I don't trust these guys, but we'll see. Time will tell. In any event,
Right.
but they keep fighting. They keep uncovering more tunnels, more weapons, Obviously, this past week was a big miracle. They freed four of the
Wow.
hostages in an amazing
Wow.
operation where they killed hundreds of enemy. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we need, more of that, more of going on the offensive. And once they went in and took Rafiach and they took the Philadelphia road and uncovered all the tunnels, they basically cut off the supply routes for the
Right.
for the Hamas, and now they can't. They can't. It's almost impossible for them to bring in any more weapons and ammunition. They're still sending in the so-called humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
But in any event, we'll see how that plays out. But like you said, this war is totally about the Temple Mount. They call it. They even said it. They say it right out. Our mission was to free the Temple Mount. The stuff, the killing of Jews on the way is part of the mission. The mission is to kill all the Jews
Yep.
on the way to freeing the Temple Mount.
Yep.
And making it simply a totally Muslim site. And that's why I always say the war might have started from Gaza, but the war will only end here on the Temple Mount when we liberate it entirely from all foreign illegal beliefs. And here we go. Now we're on the eastern side already. Here they're starting to pray the Shacharit service here.
Mhm.
Here's the rabbi's already about to do Kedusha. See, there's our Kohen. I guess he'll be blessing us soon. And here's the Kohen. He's here. Everybody's here. Okay, here we go. Let's do Kedusha.
Okay. Wonderful to see Jews praying on the Temple Mount.
Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Move away so I don't bother them while they continue praying. And I'm moving here closer. Here we are, right in front of the temple. In front of us is the Ezrat Nashim, the courtyard of the women, and then the courtyard of Israel,
Mhm.
Kohanim, and of course the altar and the Beit HaMikdash are all in front of us. Just have to use your imagination right now, because instead of the temple, there's the Golden Dome,
Yeah.
the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
It's basically not a mosque; it's a shrine to the temple. That's the interesting thing, is that the man who built it, the Arab who built it, asked the Jews, where was the temple? He wants to make a shrine for the temple. That's the amazing thing. So they told him, there's the rock. The rock is the place where the Holy of Holies was, and he built this dome
Mhm.
over the rock to
Right.
to commemorate the temple. Um, okay, so Shavuot, we spoke a little bit about it last week. It's one of the three holidays, the three festivals that we say when we come up. All of the people of Israel are supposed to come up to Jerusalem on the three festivals,
Yep.
wherever they are, okay, and when they come up for the festival, they're supposed to bring with them animals for sacrifices. Right, a person is not supposed to come into the courtyard of the temple without bringing like a present to God, which is an animal sacrifice. If they're poor and they can't afford an animal sacrifice, they can bring an alternative
Right.
meal offering. But in any event, you can't come empty-handed to God's house. And it's like anybody, you know, who has any self-respect, whenever he goes to somebody's house as a guest, he brings some kind of present, bottle of wine or some chocolate or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and so that whole concept may come from the fact that we're told when you come to the temple, you have to bring this present to Hashem, and
Hmm.
it says that you have to come and be seen. You can't just send that sacrifice with a proxy. You have to be seen. The idea is that you bring it, and
Yep.
you're seen before Hashem. But those are considered personal offerings, and therefore, in the state of contamination that we're in right now, the state of tumah, we wouldn't be bringing these offerings this holiday if we were able to do the sacrifices. What we would bring are the public offerings. Okay, and the public offerings are, we have everyday public offerings, morning and afternoon. On the holidays, we have more. We have what's called the musaf. The whole musaf prayer is connected to the musaf offerings that are mentioned in the portion of Pinchas in the book of in the end of book of Bamidbar. So, but we have special offerings that we bring for this holiday. The main one that we should talk about is what's called the two breads. Okay,
Hmm.
now that's the that's the key main offering. Why? What has to do with two breads? Okay, so first all we have is just to mention before we talk about the two breads. We know every week before Shabbat,
Hmm.
or on Shabbat, they would replace. They had 12 breads. There's 12 of the show breads that were replaced every week and eaten by the Kohanim. And it
Yep.
was a miracle that said that the bread stayed fresh for the entire week. And then they replace it every week. It's called the show bread. It would sit on the table inside the sanctuary, the heichal, right in
Yep.
front of the Holy of Holies. But on Shavuot, we have the two breads. Why? What is happening? Is that we left Egypt. When we left Egypt, we were told to bring what's called the barley offering, the omer, right? We bring this barley offering. Barley was considered animal food for feeding animals, and um, we'd bring the barley, and then we would count 49 days. Was what we just completed last night. We counted the
Yep.
49 days. What's called the Sfirat Omer, the counting of the Omer, the counting of the barley. And then on the 50th day is Shavuot, is the holiday of Shavuot. And on that day, we bring the two breads. Why? Because we've now elevated ourselves from the level of being almost like an animal, like uh, um, uh, the people, the Jews that left Egypt, they didn't have any Torah. All they had was they made the Pesach offering, Passover offering, and they did the Brit Milah, they did the circumcision. That's all they had, and until they received the Torah, they were kind of like considered at the level of being an animal, and now they've elevated themselves to the level of being like a human being. And that's why now they eat. That's how we bring the two breads, which is food for human beings. The bread is made of wheat and not of barley. And so the whole concept of us again counting the counting of the 50 days of the 49 days is to elevate ourselves to a level of being like a human being, like Adam Rishon, the first man, and who was actually the whole story of the Garden of Eden transpired here on the Temple Mount, where the Holy of Holies was. That's where the Garden of Eden was at the time that the man was created, man, Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve. So we're again elevating ourselves from being, when a person doesn't have any Torah, doesn't have any spirituality, all he has is
Yep.
his physical needs and demands. He's kind of like an animal, and then
Sure.
elevate ourselves by doing things that animals, we learn Torah, we do mitzvot, do the commandments, and we elevate ourselves. And so this teaches us to elevate ourselves, and then it corresponds. The 50th day in the desert is when we receive the Torah on Mount Sinai, plus the Ten Commandments and the Torah and so on. Where it talks about receiving the Ten Commandments, but we know our tradition is that Moshe received the entire Torah, including the oral law. Or I was up there for 40 days. He was up there because he received not only the written law, but he received the oral law. And so the holiday of Shavuot corresponds with that. But we need to understand that really the Torah, I mean, it corresponds one to the other, but really in the Torah, it doesn't talk about the performance yearly of this festival, Shavuot. It doesn't refer to it as the holiday of receiving the Torah, but it refers to it as the holiday of the bikurim, of the first fruits. Okay, and that's a very important point that we have to understand is that all of the holidays, once the holidays when we first received them in the desert, corresponded to historical things that happened leaving Egypt, going through the desert before we came into the land of Israel. Once we came into the land of Israel, these holidays are all agricultural holidays. Passover, like we said, they bring the barley, and then Shavuot, we bring the bread from the wheat. The wheat obviously is harvested after the barley, and then Bechukotai, we're celebrating the gathering in of all of the fruits that we harvested, and we bring them into the storage place, and we celebrate the water libations in order to pray to Hashem, to God, that He gives us a rainy year that provides, because without rain you aren't able to grow crops. And there's everything became holidays of agricultural holidays, and that's what the Torah really tells us. So the holiday of Shavuot is really connected to what's called the holiday of the bikurim. Bikurim are the first fruits that a person picks from his field. It's the fruits that are the land of Israel is blessed over, like pomegranates and grapes, olives, dates and figs, also the wheat and the barley. All of those seven are the sort of the fruits that the land of Israel is blessed over.
Right.
And you bring those, you put them on, you make a beautiful plate or basket. Of rich people would bring it on like a plate of gold. Poor people would bring it in a basket of like a woven basket, and you bring and these fruits you bring up from wherever you're coming from. Okay, you could be coming up from the land around Lebanon or Syria or the Galilee, wherever you're coming from, quite a distance, but you have to bring these first fruits and bring them up to the temple. And there's words for the verses from the Torah that you say when you're presenting it to the Kohanim, to the priests. And that's what the holiday is really about. And it was considered, bringing these fruits was considered like a really big thing, to the point where the Mishnah, there's a tractate called Bikurim. The Mishnah there talks about how that there on the roads, alongside the roads, there would be artisans that would be working on the roads. They could be pot makers or what do you call them? They'd make all kinds, like in the movies of the Old West. People are sitting on the road, and they make all kinds of things from leather or metal or whatever it is. Okay, and and they're alongside the road, and these people are working. They're not supposed to stop working. It says even if an important rabbi walks by, they don't have to stop working because they're in the
Right.
middle of work. The person has to stop. But when they would see the Jews coming up with the baskets of the fruit, for those people,
Right.
they would stand up. Why? What's so
Uh-huh.
special with them? Because
Okay.
every step that they're taking with those fruits is a mitzvah. They're
Okay.
honoring these people of performing this tremendous mitzvah of coming up to the temple with the fruits.
Right.
So now there are a lot of customs that the Jewish people have to remind us of the mitzvot. Like we see in the synagogues, they decorate the synagogues with all kinds of branches of green
Sure.
leaves and things like that to um, to commemorate what's going on at this period of time, and the bikurim and the first fruits and so on. The custom of eating dairy has to do with the two breads, because usually we're supposed to be eating, unless you're a vegetarian or whatever, vegan, you're supposed to be eating meat.
Hmm.
On a holiday, it's considered, or Shabbat or a holiday, you're eating meat, and but to show us the idea of the two breads, you're not supposed to have bread. You use the same bread for a dairy meal and a meat meal. Okay, so to commemorate the idea of the two breads, you would have basically two meals, or a split meal. First, you'd have a dairy meal, okay, with one bread, and then
Right.
you'd finish that. There are different beliefs. Some believe that you're supposed to say the grace after the meal, and then again wash and wait a little while, then have another meal with the meat. Some people say you don't have to have the grace after the meals. You can just split the meal into two. First a
Hmm.
dairy side of the meal, and then take off all the dairy plates and everything in that, and all the dairy food, and then have a meat meal. So
Yeah.
whatever the custom is, but the idea of the custom, a lot of these customs that we have, that people don't even know why they have them, but they're connected to the temple, and certainly
Right.
this custom of the having this dairy meal and a meat meal or whatever, it has to do with the to commemorate the two breads of the holiday of Shavuot that we had in the temple. And again, the branches and the leaves and the green all has to do with the bikurim, the bringing of the first fruit. So we see that people see these things going on or experience them, but there's certainly the important thing is to remember that it's trying to remind us of what we did in the temple, and those customs were there to get the Jews to not forget of what was important was the temple service, not the
Right.
custom itself, but I think one of the major problems of our existence as Jews is that we eternalize these customs without understanding and knowing why they were implemented
Hmm.
to begin with. And I think it's very important for people to remember that they see something that's different. They don't usually see, like on every Shabbat. Usually people won't have a dairy meal. They usually have a meat meal. I mean, they might have for the third meal, they
Right.
have a dairy meal or whatever. But
Right.
have a split meal like that is not something that's usually taking place, and so it's reminding us. Uh, so it's also interesting that the socialist Zionists, the kibbutzim,
Yep.
uh, they um, they adopted the holiday of Shavuot as like their main holiday for them, and they because it's very agriculturally connected. Like we said, it's
Okay.
the first fruits, and more than any other holiday, I would say they commemorate Shavuot. It's interesting that some of the kibbutzim themselves like one of the kibbutz of Be'eri, which was famous from what happened on October 7th,
Right.
was founded on Shavuot. Because again, that was very, they didn't care about the fact that there might be violating the commandment of that but they was connected, because it was connected to this agricultural type of living. They would have they founded their kibbutz on Shavuot. So that's really today, unfortunately, because again, we're no longer an agricultural society for the most part, and we don't have the
Mhm.
temple, and most Jews don't come up here. The holiday has become something else entirely, which also is connected to the Kabbalah, the Zohar, and so on. It's become a holiday where people just learn all night. They call it a tikkun.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tikkun Leil Shavuot. They learn all night Torah, and have taken. They've altered the entire um, what we call it, the entire focus of the holiday from what the Torah tells us to learning the Torah itself. So, since you gave me the word focus, which I like, got here the Rabbi Nachman's representative here on Har HaBayit.
Oh,
He's going to give us some insights.
okay.
I was just thinking as we're walking around there, when you're up here, thank God, you get a special influx of
Right.
I would say an aspect of Ruach HaKodesh. It's pretty amazing. It's
Right.
almost hard to listen to anybody speak Torah in general. But up
Mhm.
here, almost anything anybody says is like this level of Torah. It's a very interesting thing that happens up here. So I was just thinking about the whole inyan, because everyone talks about October 7th. Very
Right.
often you'll hear soldiers, they won't refer to it as October 7th. They refer to it as Simchat Torah, especially the religious soldiers. So
Right.
it's very interesting because on the surface, you would feel like this kind of ruined our Simchat Torah, right?
Mhm.
Even for the Eid, like I'm thinking about the next Simchat Torah. What is it going to be like? Is it going to be a mourning? What is it going to be?
Right. Right.
So, but when I heard one soldier talk about the Simchat Torah, it was juxtaposed with his story of going down and protecting Jews and being zoche to the mitzvah of killing Amalek, killing our enemies. And I realized that he was connecting to a simcha that is the essence of Simchat Torah, the essence of Matan Torah. Those
Mhm.
are so specifically that we are commanded to be Mekayim when we come into Eretz Yisrael. Three
Mhm.
mitzvot. The first one is Mechiyat Zecher Amalek. Second one is appoint a king. The third is Binyan Beit HaMikdash. And all three of them are dependent on each other. But you kind of have to do first things first. Before you build your house, you first have to get rid of the animals that are around. The wild. You got to protect yourself. So you got to get rid of Amalek. That's number one. Next, you need the kind of personality, the kind of spirit that can bring the nation together, that can have the rulership, the control to put all the pieces together in order to build the
Right.
Beit HaMikdash, right? Like
Right.
Shlomo HaMelech, right? That's the second step is you need a king. The third step is the Beit HaMikdash. This is the spiritual infrastructure of the entire Torah. So now God, He picked Simchat Torah for this massacre. He picked this day, and according to my humble opinion, it was to awaken in the true Jews of this nation, the ones who ran out of their houses, ran out of shuls, grabbed their guns, did whatever they could, and went down and destroyed in miraculous ways. I heard one guy in one of the teams, the non-religious guy, he said, I don't know what happened. He's like, every shot that I shot with my gun, it hit a mechabel. It's like he just was unleashing, and he couldn't understand how everything was hitting. Right? There was tremendous siyata d'shmaya. That story hasn't really been told yet. It will be, because I actually feel it's kind of like the main story, because that is the awakening of the siyata d'shmaya that Hashem gave us that day. He awakened this mitzvah, and the simcha of the mitzvah of destroying our enemies that continues till today. Yesterday I was on the mountain with the Gdud 22, a whole bunch of guys. Half of them have beard and payas. They just got out of Gaza and also from the north after doing Miluim for 7-8 months. They said they didn't lose a soldier, but they killed a lot of enemies. And there was this simcha and this pride. It wasn't a cruel thing. They were committed to the mitzvah of destroying the enemies of Am Yisrael.
Beautiful.
Right.
And this is one of the foundational mitzvahs that the entire Torah, the infrastructure that we need to be Mekayim in the land, is based on. And thank God, the process has started. So it's b'hashgacha. Hashem started this process on Simchas Torah, which is the day where we see the fruition of the giving of the Torah, which we received in Shavuot. 6 months later, we see the fruition in action. Right?
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
I think that it should continue.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Here we go.
Tremendous.
You heard it here. You heard it first here. You're not going to hear it
Yeah.
anywhere else.
No.
True Torah. True Torah.
Absolutely.
True Torah. Here's an old friend of mine, Alex. Alex, the Dado Anglit. Alex is one of our buddies from Cayman Aliyah,
Alex?
from the former Soviet Union. And
Okay.
here's Eliezer, one of the original in Hebron, worked with Professor Tavger in uncovering the Avram Avinu synagogue.
Right.
There's some heavy hitters here today.
Wow, that goes back quite a while, uncovering the Avram Avinu shul in Hebron.
מעיין של ש"ס, שפיטרו אותו מהרב. היה איתנו בהתחלה. איך קוראים לו?
Yuda Edry.
אדרי, זה תודה.
Here now we're up on the northern side here. Okay.
Right.
We were able to build the altar. We built it over here, near where that small dome is, and we bring the sacrifices that we can bring, and that would cause a major change. That's what we're missing. We're missing the sacrifices. We told me that every exile ended with a sacrifice. With the exile in Egypt ended with the Passover offering. The 40 years in the desert ended with bringing the offering by the Gilgal when they came in with Yoshua into the land by Jericho. In the time of Ezra and Nehemiah when they came back from Babylon. It's not just building the temple. The temple is going to take time. It requires removing buildings, but bringing the altar. Spot of the altar is empty. We can build an altar and start sacrifices today if we only had the permission from the government, the permission and cooperation of the government.
So, Baruch, got a question with that. Okay, so apparently we discussed this as well before on another show that we did about the possibly last week we talked about it as well, that if the amount of Jews, the Jewish population in Israel is greater than 50% of the Jewish population worldwide, that there are some changes that happened in halacha.
Right.
And it's in regards to even the Beit HaMikdash. So, fill us in on, because we're pretty close. We might be there right now. In fact, depends who's counting. But some estimates are that there's 15 million Jews in the world. Some estimates are there's 16 million. Some estimates are 14 million. But they say the amount of Jews living in Israel right now is something like 7.3 million. So therefore, if it was 14 million in the world, and obviously it's the majority in Israel right now, if it's 15 million in the world, then you're off by about 200,000. But given the swing of how the population goes in Israel, with about over 1% or increase every year, in about 2 years, you would be at that figure. If it's 15 million, we'd be over 7.5 million. Not even taking into account that the word of Aliyah, bigger Aliyahs, more people are talking about it in diaspora, certainly in different communities around the world. So fill us in on the halachic implications as it pertains to the Beis Hamikdash, the Har Bayit. Once we reach that point, that's indisputable that it's the majority of Jews living in Israel.
Well, first of all, again, I don't know how they count the Jews throughout the world. In Israel, it's pretty accurate,
Yeah.
but throughout the world, I have no idea, and I don't know.
Right.
I don't know who they count as Jews. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that say that there's already a majority of Jews in the land of Israel,
Right.
but
Oops, it just froze for a moment. I'm sure you'll be back. There.
in any event, what is the
Yes.
it means that there's certain mitzvot, the commandments that are incumbent on the public to perform, like building the
Right.
temple, which require that there be a majority of Jews living in the land. That's why I concentrate on the mitzvot, the commandments of bringing sacrifices, which don't require having a temple,
Right.
as the Rambam, is brought down in the Gemara, in the Talmud, and the Rambam brings it down as halacha, that you can bring all the sacrifices, despite the fact that there's no temple built. So you need to build an altar, and then bring at least the public sacrifices, like we said.
Right.
And that's why I think the focus should be on that, because that doesn't require the majority of people living in the land. That's could be, a small amount. But I'll tell you something else. I have a big problem with this halacha that they say that the mitzvah, the commandment of building the temple, requires majority of the Jews. Because if you look at the Second Temple period, when they came back from Babylon, they came back with 42,000 people.
Interesting.
The majority stayed in the exile, and they built the temple. So wait a second, how did that happen? So, and it could be that, the glatt kosher way is you have all the majority Jews living in the land. But it could be that we're not obligated to wait for them. If they don't come, it's their problem. We don't have to be stuck because people don't want to come here. And its interesting point is, I remember Rabbi Khan used to teach us this idea that in the Talmud, it would say, it constantly uses the term Kulei Alma. Kulei Alma in Aramaic means the entire world.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that referring to? That the Talmud would say the entire world holds this way. Kulei Alma holds one way. Okay, the whole world holds one way. Meaning that there's no machloket, there's no argument that this is the halakha, this is the law, and there's nobody objects to it, and nobody opposes it, and so on. So it's called Kulei Alma, the entire world.
Yeah.
One time, Rabbi Khan would tell us about this idea that was one of the Rebbes. I think it might have been the Gera Rebbe, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but he said that he's learning with his grandson or his son, and they come across this term, the whole world, and the son or the grandson says, who's this whole world that we're talking about here? Right?
Yep.
And he says, and the rabbi says to him, the whole world is you and me. We're the whole world, right? Because right now we're together here. We're learning the Torah. We're not going to go around now checking out what everybody thinks. So as far as we're concerned, at this point in time, the two of us learning here together, we're the whole world.
Yep.
And I think that idea supports what I'm saying, that we don't have to wait for the entire Jewish people to be here, or the majority of Jewish people to be here. When they had the opportunity to come, and if they didn't come, it's irrelevant. And that's why the Second Temple period, they came back. Whoever came back, came back, and they started building the temple. Majority stayed outside outside of Israel, did not come back.
Right.
And we had a Second Temple that lasted for 420 years. It might not have been as holy as the first Temple of Solomon, but it certainly was a great period in Jewish history, and the temple functioned. And we had the story of the Maccabees and Hanukkah, and so
you know what? I mean, I fully agree with you. But I mean, I would be of the opinion that when we're just conquering the land of Israel, that regardless of what our numbers are, it's our land. It's 100% our land, and just get the job done, build everything up, reestablish the temple. But I am saying that because when you look at the era that we're in right now, and when you look at the counting, even with whoever is doing the counting, that it could be 16 million by this guy says, or 15 million that guy says. Or the point is, we're so close anyways with it, and if it is 2 years or a year and a half or something like that, just the conversation that there's going to be amongst Jews. That's all I'm saying. That we want to have that. We want to have greater conversations with more and more Jews, because as it is, unfortunately, you have rabbis that are saying or discouraging Jews from going up to it's just kind of like ridiculous, our leadership that we have. But if something could push the conversation wider within our Jewish world, it would just be a lot better. But I mean, the wake-up call should have been on Simplest Torah that this is ours. No excuses. The enemy, they're killing us. They just want to wipe us out, and they want to claim it. It's ours, and if it's ours, take it.
Right. Well, so again, you could say that before you can build anything, you really have to knock down what's here. So,
Yes.
Like I say that the real answer to October 7th is that the government, the army, the police, the authorities have to remove what's up here. Say, okay, this is payback for what you did. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna, because you ultimately said this was your goal. So since that's your goal, it's not you can say what you want. It's not going to be here anymore for you to go to war and go and massacre Jews. That's the payback, first of all.
Right.
Okay, and then from there will be okay, now what do we do with the place? That's okay, so they're gone, and what are the Jews? That's when it really becomes applicable question of temple opinion, when we make it, we facilitate the building by removing what's here. And again, that would basically be Like in the time of, okay, when we left Egypt, we were told to take the god of Egypt, which was the sheep,
Yep.
or and slaughter it.
Yep.
Slaughter it before the Egyptians. The Egyptians couldn't do anything. They were told, we got to slaughter it for our God, serve our God, and the Egyptians, right in front of their face, were slaughtering their God. And I said, that's really what Hashem wants from us. He wants us to show that we have total trust in Him.
Yeah.
And they can say and threaten and do whatever they want, but they're not going to be able to, once we show the whole world that we have total trust in Hashem, to the point where we tell the entire Islamic world, go to hell. You're not going to come up to our holy mountain anymore. And you're not going to have any building here. People say, you're crazy. You're going to bring a destruction upon us. It's the exact opposite. That's the interesting point. Is that the exact opposite? When people think
this is Shavuot. The Torah was given to us. Here it is in the Torah. This is ours. Get out of here. And that's it. That's it. Build it. No excuses. No apologies. It belongs to us. That's it.
Right. Exactly. So here now, we're already on our way out. We're on the western side, about to leave the Temple Mount. It's like, it used to be difficult to come up here, and they had all kinds of restrictions, and now it's so much easier. And it's like the same thing with Aliyah. Aliyah today is so much easier than it was back in the day.
Sure.
And there's really no excuse. The Jews have to come back. I mean, anti-Semitism is on the rise. The Jewish people need every Jew here, and that's it. We're in the midst of redemption, and you're either with us or against us, as they say. So here we are. We just left the mount. Another successful mission accomplished. And as they say, we'll be back.
Absolutely. Baruch, thank you very much. We'll continue the Parsha next week. Chag Sameach. Everything should be great for you and your family, your kids. Yeah, should be good. Enjoy the cheesecake.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Happy Millionaire in Malay Domim used to have a Jack Daniel's cheesecake, 25 cheesecake kiddush.
Oh,
On Shavuot.
nice. Nice. Well, your phone froze. That's good. That's good. Okay, Baruch, we'll do it next week. Thank you very much, everyone who joined us. Please share this. We'll get the word out. Thank you very much, and Chag Sameach.